Hi there!
Here we go again.
Sunsets like a tangerine. Let's find a road we've never seen. Life is short, make it sweet.
Today's video is one about the School of Hard Knocks. Goofs that we did. Uh-ohs. And not all of them were in the very beginning.
No, some of them are very recent, in fact.
Like last year.
It's a learning experience every
day.
single day on the road.
Sure is.
You learn something new all the time, or you learn how to fix something you were doing in the past the correct way.
Yeah. Here we go. No! Stop!
Okay, bring it back carefully, slow. Okay, a little bit more to the driver's side. Perfect. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, great. Stop.
Okay, 10-4. Everything looks good on this end.
Perfect. We're set. Thank you.
One of the most important things that you need to do when you get to your spot, whether it's in an RV park, a campground, or even out boondocking, is stop before you try to get into your spot. Open your vehicle doors, get out, and walk the spot.
So the driver needs to get out, walk the spot, and kind of in their mind picture how they're going to back in, what obstacles are in the way, where the utilities are and trees are. I mean, we all know about that, but it helps backing in if you've already gotten out and walked the site, so you know where your tail swing needs to be, where you need to turn, what is in front of you that is going to be in the way of your backing up. So now that Tom does that every time, it has been so much easier with him backing in. Instead of I jump out of the truck and try to back him into the site without him ever walking it. It has been so much better since we've done that. And in the beginning, it would take us forever to get into a site because I wasn't sure how to explain to him which way he needed to go, what side. And now that he gets out and walks it first, boom, so much better.
One of the things I also do when I get out and walk and look at the spot, I look up, make sure there's no tree branches that I think might be in my way, and I look down, make sure there's no boulders, smaller rocks, pieces of wood. Plus, I also look at the dirt or the ground and make sure there's no nails sitting around. We have found nails in spots before.
Nails and screws and glass.
So that's another thing. Always get out, walk around, know your surroundings.
Be aware of your surroundings.
Before you even try to back in.
Makes it a lot easier. Another thing that we have learned through the School of Hard Knocks and marital bliss and not so blissful is both of us taking our time. And this is a prime example, is getting into our spot here at my sister and brother-in-law's house. So when we come up, Tom has to kind of turn a little bit in the circle and get ready to back up that driveway up into this spot. And before, he would try to come up too fast and try to get into it and not take his time. He would be jerking back and forth, getting all pissed off because he wasn't being able to get into it. But it was like, so now I tell him when we get to the spot and I get out and I go, okay, be calm, go slow, it'll be fine. And now that he comes and does things, drives back slower, it has made his adjustments a lot easier. When he's coming and driving too fast, I don't know when to tell him to turn or pivot, but when he goes slower, it's easier for me to say, okay, now you need to start pivoting. And it's just made such a difference to just take a breath, take your time. Me also taking my time and not being radical, saying, no, stop, you can't do that. You know, on the walkie-talkie being loud. He's like, okay, you scared me. So now we just take a breath, take our time backing in, and he can now get into the spot with only like a couple tries instead of 10 and a half an hour and us getting all bent out of shape. Take your time.
So when we first started RVing, this was the first RV either one of us had ever owned. We didn't know squat. And going to the School of Hard Knocks, this one was a true learning experience. So the pin that comes out of the hitch here that locks it in place once you're hitched up, you're supposed to remove that when you want to unhitch. You're supposed to let it drop. Well, what I was doing is I did that and I put it in the other hole here, and that's as far as the
jaws would open.
The jaws would open, and as you can see, that's all they would open. That's not near enough to unhitch the trailer, and we fought with this thing for a long time, and more than just once. It took a couple extra times to figure out that this pin coming out of here doesn't go into that other hole. It just drops and hangs, and you let the jaws come open all the way to get out.
I think part of it in the beginning also was that you weren't raising the trailer enough to get it up off of the hitch,
And there was still a lot of weight on that trailer.
Weight still on the hitch from the trailer, and that made it even harder. So it was a couple of things.
So a couple of things we've learned. I really raised that up to where I feel the truck really starting to raise. And of course now I know how to make the pin drop.
Can you hear a pin drop?
School of Hard Knocks, tail swing. Boy, this was a hard one to learn.
And this was
This
a
was
year
recent.
ago.
This was a year ago, basically. You know, I've always thought about tail swing, but I haven't really thought about tail swing until your tail swings and you hit something. Now I think about it every single time, because we ripped the back end. And I know this is really not pretty, but let me tell you, this is really pretty compared to the not pretty that it was right after the accident. The tail swung around and hit a trailer, like a cargo trailer, just the tail light of the cargo trailer, and it caught down here, and it took this whole fiberglass cap and ripped it up. I mean, only ripped it up maybe that far, but it shredded the fiberglass, which we have replaced ourselves. It took this, and this is not just rubber. This is a piece of metal
Underneath it, yeah.
inside the rubber, and it was bent completely up. Yeah, it's all dirty right now. All I got to do is wash it and it'll look white.
And Tom was so pissed off we didn't get pictures of it or video or anything.
It was so horrible.
He was thinking, first thing he thought of was we're going to have to replace the whole back cap.
The whole back cap, everything, the whole thing, because it was pulled out completely from the frame of the RV.
Like about a foot at least.
It was unbelievable. So what this taught me, every time we go someplace now, no matter where it is, I am always conscious of tail swing. Very much so. I get out and I walk and I look at what's over here and I'm like, how far is this thing going to swing out?
And I go back and forth with the walkies from side to side to make sure that everything is not, that there isn't anything in the way, that everything is clear.
Yeah. So tail swing, that was a hard one for us.
Anybody else have a nightmare tail swing? We know, we have friends that have ripped the whole back end of their rig off and had to do and had to have their back end replaced because of tail swing.
Yeah.
One person was because they had one of those little cargo trays that you put into the hitch on the back, and that caught something and ripped the whole back end of it off. Yeah, so we're not the first, won't be the last. hopefully will be the last time for us, but who knows? We plan on staying on the road for a long time, more accidents are bound to happen.
What about you? Let us know in the comments below.
We were lucky when we bought our trailer and our truck. They came together. So we bought them secondhand, obviously. So we knew this truck went to that trailer, and we knew it had trailer brakes because we saw the little box under the dash. So we knew it had it, and we knew that when we plugged in the trailer to the truck, the light came on.
There are a couple lights up here, a red and a green light. Actually, there's just one light, and it glows from red to green. And it stays on green all the time when you're hooked up, and then when you tap your brakes, of course, the light goes
Red. Or
amber. Amber, toward red, and it's an adjustment on the side. There's an adjustment here on the side. This is really an old one. You know, the new ones have digital readouts and things like that. This one does not. So it's a feel, and it's a brake feel for me. And I have learned over the years that we've been doing this, by tapping on the brakes, I can tell when those trailer brakes engage, and I let that thing drag us down to a stop most of the time before we ever take out. And that's how I adjust our trailer brakes. But we didn't know in the beginning.
We had no idea. They were not adjusted properly.
Oh, it was horrible.
It was so scary.
Basically, the truck was doing almost 100% of the stopping of this trailer in the beginning.
And we were overweight. We had to have been overweight. We had gone and weighed, and we weren't overweight. But then, of course, as time, when you actually head out on the road and you've added extra things, it had to have been overweight. Yeah. So we were scared to death.
So we learned.
We looked it up. Through
the School of Hard Knocks, how to adjust our trailer brakes with our brake adjuster in the truck.
Yeah, it's not enough to just know that the trailer brakes are there and that they're hooked up. You have to know how to adjust them.
Yeah. Something we learned the very hard way is these hoses coming out of the refrigerator are supposed to be coming out of the refrigerator and hanging down, so the excess water that melts from inside the fridge drips out these hoses outside and not inside. When we first bought this rig, there was no hoses on the outside. They were actually pushed up against this hole right here. So this hose was on the inside, pushed up against the hole just like that, and it was attached there. Both refrigerators had both hoses attached there, and that hole basically pushed up against right there. So the water would come out, sift in here, and go down here and stay in the slide, and it caused a crap load of dry rot. That's why we have a whole new slide. Everything. The whole thing was ridiculous. But it didn't start with us. It had been doing that for years and years. That's why it was so bad. So when we had the refrigerators replaced, the back ends replaced, had new hoses put on it, great big long hoses, and you always have them looped like that. So a little bit of water stays down inside there, and that way it keeps the hot air during the summer from going back up and going in your refrigerator. Just like the P-trap on a sink. You got water in there, it keeps the smells from coming back up. This keeps the hot air from coming back out or going back into the refrigerator. Talk about learning something the hard way. Big buku bucks to replace the whole slide. That was a hard one to learn.
Another not so fun learning experience we had is this bay. We thought, it was closed. This was not here. We did not have this. There was just a hole there.
The secondary lock.
That should have been a clue.
Yeah, it was an empty hole.
It was an empty hole. That should have been a clue. However, we weren't smart enough. We were brand new, newbies. And so one time we left without double checking. See how this is open over here? And this one is latched. Oh, we're good to go. No. We ended up going, this ended up popping out. And we're going down the road and it's doing this. And things are falling out along the highway on our way down the road.
A lot of things.
Yeah, that was not fun. That was just before the whole slide removal thing, because this was one of the things we had Leisure Coach Works fix. It was like we just lost a whole bunch of stuff out of our door because we didn't have a latch here. So they installed that. And now part of our checklist is we go around, the both of us. I go first, I lock everything, and he goes through and tries to open every single door just to double check to make sure we have everything latched securely and locked. That was not a fun learning experience. One of the other things that we learned the hard way was that before we bring this kitchen slide in, we need to sweep the floor. Sweep everything up. Otherwise, this is going to happen. So what happened was a little pebble got stuck and it ripped the linoleum as we brought the slide in. So it is also on my checklist to sweep the floor before we bring this slide in. And it's one of the last things that I do before we do that, so that nobody can come in and walk on the floor and leave a pebble, or the dog, because we don't want any more rips in our linoleum. We've just dealt with this little mark here over the past years that it's happened. Another learning experience. So those are just some of the things, the big major ones that we have learned through our past 7 years.
School of Hard Knocks.
8 years. School of Hard Knocks. So those have been our learning experiences. Tell us what your learning experiences have been.
Are they the same things that we ran into, or is it something totally different? Let us know in the comments below. Join the conversation. We want to hear from you.
We were brand new newbies. We had never had an RV of our own. So we didn't know anything. So we decided, hey, let's go full time.
You learn the hard way.
You learn along the way.
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. It helps us a lot. And if you're new to the channel, click subscribe, join our journey, ring the bell, get notified every time we put up a brand new video. Every Saturday, we do a Saturday coffee chat, and on Wednesdays, you get a What Up Wednesday video. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate each and every one of you.
See ya!
Take your banner and raise it to the sky.